look who showed up. Gino gets a salute from Kevin.
He loves Gino no matter what the uniform.
The Olympics sell us a carefully polished myth, but behind the medals, there's a secret world the cameras are never allowed to enter. In Sydney, a teenage Kevin Garnett stepped into the Olympic Village and was rushed back out by security minutes later. Not because of danger, but because of what he saw. A single room packed with the greatest athletes on Earth. A trash can full of protection dumped into a bowl. Gone in seconds, and that was just the beginning. So what really happens when 10,000 elite competitors, trained to dominate at any cost?
To the ramp, Garnett on the slam follow. 8-point lead for the Celtics.
Are locked inside one village for 2 weeks? Why did Kobe Bryant reportedly last less than half an hour before walking out? And what does this hidden chaos reveal about the Olympics that broadcasters work so hard to keep off screen? Tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on the Olympic Village, the rivalries, the excess, and the unspoken competition that may be fiercer than anything you see on the track or the court. KG's first walk through the village. Kevin Garnett arrived at the 2000 Sydney Olympics alongside Ray Allen, Jason Kidd, and his teammate Dice.
The athletes can go. So you come in the village, me, Ray Allen, Jason Kidd, and Dice walk through the village on the first day.
Eager to experience something far removed from the familiar rhythms of the NBA. On their first day, they decided to explore the athlete village, wandering through the housing areas where competitors from every nation were living side by side. Almost immediately, Garnett realized this was unlike anything he had ever seen in professional basketball. The buildings resembled ordinary apartments or townhomes, but every window told a different story. Brazilian flags hung from one section, Swedish flags from another. Athletes passed by in Speedos or warm-ups, proudly wearing their national colors. Dominican flags, Portuguese flags, and banners from countries Garnett had rarely thought about filled the space.
Former Minnesota Timberwolves All-Star Kevin Garnett is telling the world that when he retires from the game,
it felt like the entire world had been compressed into one neighborhood. Eventually, the group found their way into the game room, a massive space Garnett estimated at close to 10,000 square feet. It was designed for relaxation, packed with games, activities, and places to sit and socialize. But the setup wasn't what caught his attention. It was the people. Every elite athlete at the Olympics seemed to be gathered in that one room. The fastest sprinters on Earth stood next to basketball players.
Players that were left over as well that played with him.
Basketball Without Borders Global Camp.
Gymnasts mingled with wrestlers. Swimmers brushed shoulders with volleyball stars. The energy was overwhelming. Nobody needed to speak the same language. The intensity, ambition, and shared sacrifice communicated everything. Then Garnett noticed a small man weaving through the crowd, almost hidden behind an enormous trash can. He reached a large bowl in the center of the room and without a word dumped its contents inside. Thousands of personal supplies spilled out at once.
Quick shot, hits another three. Rondo, Garnett. Allen looking for an opening, back to Garnett. Kevin Garnett.
Within seconds, athletes from every nation converged, and the bowl was completely empty before Garnett could even process what he had witnessed. The numbers later confirmed it wasn't an illusion. Sydney began the games with tens of thousands of these supplies and ran out halfway through, forcing an emergency restock. By the time the Olympics reached Rio in 2016, organizers were distributing hundreds of thousands, an average of more than 40 per athlete. Why NBA players can't stay?
These NBA players, they do play at a fast rate, but I don't think they're in a tip-top shape. I don't think these players today.
The moment Kevin Garnett stepped into the Olympic Village, the energy was so intense that it didn't take long for security to intervene. Within minutes, officials moved in and told Garnett and his NBA teammates they had to leave. They were too recognizable, too influential, and too disruptive to remain in an environment designed for controlled chaos. KG remembers the head of NBA security, known simply as Horse, physically guiding them toward the exit while explaining that the village wasn't safe for athletes of their profile.
Levine lost his balance, turned it over. Mavericks running. Marshall.
The risk wasn't just to them, but to the fragile balance organizers were trying to maintain. Almost as quickly as they arrived, they were gone. That separation wasn't unique to Garnett's era. It traced back decades earlier to the original Dream Team in 1992, when basketball superstardom reached a level the Olympic Games had never encountered. Charles Barkley later described their security detail in Barcelona.
Are some cops bad? Of course they are. But we need the cops, especially in the black community. We need the cops.
As something out of a military operation. 2 motorcycle escorts armed with machine guns flanked the team bus. Another armed guard rode on top. Police vehicles led and followed in full convoy, with a helicopter tracking them overhead. This wasn't occasional protection. It was constant. The Dream Team was simply too famous, too valuable, and too visible to move freely. While athletes from every other sport lived inside the village, forming friendships, exchanging cultures, and experiencing the full Olympic atmosphere, NBA players were housed far away, isolated by necessity.
That time, nothing doing. Oh, and the Rockets come the other way.
They practiced, competed, and won medals, but missed the communal experience that defines the games. Garnett's brief glimpse before being escorted out was all he would ever see of the Olympics as most athletes know it. The $1 million bounty, even separated from the village, the 2000 USA basketball team found ways to create their own Olympic experience. Before the games even started, the players made a pact among themselves. A $1 million bounty on Yao Ming.
Chinese Basketball Association Chairman Yao Ming is fine-tuning his ideas to improve the fortunes of the national team.
The first person to successfully dunk on the Chinese giant would collect from everyone else. KG was part of this agreement along with Dice and 6 other players. They all put their hands in and committed. Every time they faced China, every time Yao Ming was on the court, those American players were hunting for a specific moment. The chance to posterize one of the tallest players in Olympic history and collect a fortune from their teammates. Nobody collected. Yao Ming was blocking everything that came near the rim.
Well, for me, that actually NBA never left. NBA continually being live in China.
His length and timing made it nearly impossible to get a clean dunk over him. And despite the $1 million motivation, no American player managed to pull it off during those games. But when Vince Carter launched himself completely over 7'2" French player Frédéric Weiss during a game against France, KG thought for a moment that someone had finally won the bounty. The French media called it Le Dunk de la Mort, the dunk of death. Carter literally jumped over a standing human being and threw the ball through the hoop. It remains one of the most iconic dunks in Olympic history, perhaps in basketball history entirely. But Weiss was not Yao Ming, so the bounty remained unclaimed. Backstage at the opening ceremony.
The team announced Kevin Garnett is returning. He's going to serve as team ambassador, and the Wolves will finally retire his jersey.
The opening ceremony exposed a side of Olympic competition that Kevin Garnett never saw coming. Long before the teams marched into the stadium and the cameras began broadcasting to billions, athletes from every nation were packed together backstage, waiting for their moment. In that tight, electric space, national pride was already boiling over, and so was the trash talk. Garnett watched in disbelief as swimmers from rival countries went at each other verbally. Australian star Ian Thorpe, the torpedo, was jawing back and forth with Michael Phelps.
There's a combination of a number of different factors why we haven't performed as well as we have at past Olympic Games.
The Australians promising to dominate the pool, the Americans firing back with equal intensity. It felt less like pre-ceremony nerves and more like a battlefield forming before competition even began. KG described the scene as chaos in the purest competitive sense. Track stars stared each other down. Brazilian volleyball players sized up the Americans. Languages differed, but the message was universal. Everyone understood rivalry. Everyone understood that this tension would carry into the events ahead. For the basketball players watching, it was eye-opening. Swimmers had beef, gymnasts had grudges. Every sport carried the same fire the NBA feels in the playoffs, amplified by the pressure of representing an entire nation. Then Garnett looked around and felt something shift. Serena and Venus Williams stood nearby. Michael Phelps wore the same colors. Athletes from disciplines he barely followed were suddenly teammates, united under one flag. In the NBA, rivalries define careers. Kobe and LeBron spent years trying to dismantle each other. At the Olympics, those rivalries disappeared. They became brothers fighting the world together. That unity, more than medals or ceremonies, was what stayed with KG long after the games ended. Other NBA legends in the Village. Among NBA players, the Olympic Village has taken on an almost mythical reputation, a place they're warned about, restricted from, yet endlessly drawn to. Carmelo Anthony's story from the 2004 Athens Olympics captures that pull perfectly. While the U.S. team was housed on a cruise ship under strict orders from coach Larry Brown not to leave, Melo did it anyway. He slipped off the ship and went into the Village, fully aware that getting caught could mean a suspension. The risk didn't matter. The chance to experience the same environment as every other Olympian, the shared energy, the collisions of cultures, the sense that the entire sporting world was compressed into one space, was simply too powerful to ignore. Kobe Bryant's relationship with the Village revealed a very different side of elite competition. During the 2012 London Olympics, teammate Tyson Chandler watched Kobe walk through the Village and leave after roughly 30 minutes. The sheer density of world-class athletes was overwhelming. Kobe's competitive instincts couldn't shut off. Surrounded by that much excellence, his mind shifted immediately into battle mode. An environment meant for socializing and unwinding became mentally unbearable. For Kobe, greatness required isolation, routine, and absolute focus. Yet Dwyane Wade later revealed another layer to that same Kobe. In Beijing in 2008, Wade walked through the Village with him and saw Kobe speaking to athletes from all over the world, in their native languages. 9 of them. No cameras, no showmanship, just genuine curiosity and respect, coexisting with unmatched intensity. That contradiction is what makes the Olympic Village special. It doesn't just showcase athletic talent, it exposes character, complexity, and sides of legends we never see during an NBA season. What really happens in the Village? Hope Solo, the legendary soccer goalkeeper, once estimated that 70 to 75% of Olympic athletes hook up during the games. She described seeing people getting intimate right out in the open, on the grass between buildings with no shame whatsoever. When you concentrate that many elite athletes in peak physical condition into one location, all of them riding the adrenaline of the biggest competition of their lives, things are inevitably going to happen. The protection statistics support these accounts. 450,000 were distributed at Rio. Emergency orders were required at Sydney when the initial supply ran out. The Olympic Village is essentially the world's most exclusive party, happening alongside the world's most prestigious athletic competition. But here is what makes the Olympics truly remarkable. Despite all of this, despite the partying and the socializing and the connections being formed every night, these athletes still perform at the highest level imaginable. They still break world records. They still win gold medals. They still accomplish physical feats that seem impossible. The Olympics demand excellence, and somehow in the middle of all that chaos, athletes find ways to deliver. Maybe that combination is actually part of what makes the event special. The pressure mixed with the release, the competition mixed with the celebration. You train your entire life for one moment, and then you are surrounded by thousands of people who did exactly the same thing, who understand exactly what you sacrificed to get there. What Garnett glimpsed wasn't chaos for shock value. It was pressure with nowhere to hide. 10,000 elite competitors, stripped of anonymity, carrying the weight of entire nations on their backs, all confined to one place where instincts surface faster than diplomacy. This is where rivalries ignite before the first whistle, where respect and resentment coexist, and where the line between discipline and disorder blurs in ways most fans will never fully understand. So the real question isn't whether the Olympic Village is wild, it's whether that environment reveals the purest form of competition we have left. When everything familiar is stripped away and the world is watching, what part of an athlete truly shows up? Because the stories we've heard so far suggest this isn't just a side note to the games. It may be the arena where the next chapter is already being written.